Well, we have it's experiments in space with water droplets and objects and their weight, their mass, etc. We have obelisks, and
shadows.
we have, the patterns of motion, especially in reference to waves. There's a lot of things to suggest that the Earth is a globe. The compass. There's a lot of things to suggest that. Of course, you could always counter it with other speculations as well. So
really, we counter
speculation. That's why I'm always open to it.
Well, I figured like this, man. If you had a kind of a primary way to show like directly that the Earth is a globe, I think that would be a solid foundation for you. But it seems like you have all these like ideas of how it can be a globe with this information that you just presented.
We just have estimations, and I think the best way to do it is for us to make our own like drone, weather balloon, or things to kind of go out in space and turn around and look back the most classical way.
Okay.
And I think we're coming to those times.
Yeah.
At least I know what I want to work on in the future.
What do you want to work on in the future?
I want to be able to prove that. I want to be able to see that for myself. It's always been fascinating because my great-grandfather and his father before him were both pilots, and not many people got to be at the time, mind you. So they were map makers as well. And so this thing has just always been in the back of my mind. It's always kind of been there.
So you don't know yet, is what you're saying. You just believe it with the preponderance of evidence that you've been presented.
I believe it because of the evidence I've been presented. But there are counters to that as well, and so it just leaves me open.
You're agnostic, in other words.
Stance. Yeah, I guess I could say I'm agnostic. I just don't have a stance on it. I'm like water.
You conform to every container. Okay. With level surface? Okay.
Yeah. It sounds
with a curved surface.
With a what? What'd you say?
The sound level surface.
Exactly. That's All right. Does anybody else in here think that the Earth is a globe and is not agnostic?
Yeah, I think the Earth is a globe.
Okay. Can you provide us a claim that the Earth is a globe let's put it this way, in a logical form? So if you think that the Earth is a globe, do it in a formalized way with the premise, conclusion.
You can see the curvature of the Earth if you've been on the ocean. If you've been on like the open ocean and you've seen a ship coming or land, you're coming up on a landmass.
Yeah, but I get it, right? What I'm saying is try to formalize it in a way where we have a premise 1, premise 2, and then a conclusion to say that it is a globe. So premise 1 would be
this dude.
Why should he present his argument like that?
Well, I'm curious because if it was conclusively a globe, then you could do it, right?
That's not how like an argument works.
No,
really.
So
you're not able.
Close to being true.
So okay, the naysayers say it's not close to being true.
You asked if anyone believed the Earth was a globe.
So you're not able.
I told you.
So you're not able. Yeah, Vlad, you're not able to do it, right? You're not able to formalize it in a way. It's because you're not going to do it. Cooper is laughing because he thinks it's stupid to even say that. But what I'm saying is,
I think it's stupid to suggest it just because somebody can't put it in a logical syllogism, or because maybe they don't even know what that is.
So you're saying they can't. So you're saying they can't.
I'm just here to listen. I just want to listen to this.
I'm saying that's fine, Vlad. I'm saying the royal we could. I'm not saying this individual could.
Oh, well, how do you know? You haven't let him speak. So I was asking for the question, but you interrupted with you saying that he couldn't do it.
Excuse me, can I say one thing? It's hard to prove it when you don't believe in space. If you don't believe in space, part of the evidence and arguments are for a globe Earth involve the existence of outer space.
Well, no, I know, but I'm asking the guy.
Never been to space.
I was asking Vlad. I was asking him if he could formalize it in a statement that he could sound like, if he knows that conclusively the Earth is a globe. Well, premise 1 would state how he knows. Premise 2 would follow, and then the conclusion would be that he understands that conclusively the Earth is a globe based on a formalized statement.
I'm not gonna do a whole spiel, but you can clearly see evidence for the Earth being curved. Like if you've ever been on the open ocean.
So you're just going to provide a statement, but you're not going to make it a formalized.
Yeah, I'm not doing your whole gay thing, dude. I don't know. Sorry.
How is it gay for you to actually do that?
I don't know. I just joined.
Little gay.
Sorry, dude. I'm not.
So there's no way that conclusively in a logical statement you can formalize it to say that the Earth is conclusively a globe by stating the premise.
What half the shit you said means, dude. I'm not a scientist.
Well, this doesn't take a scientist to actually formalize an argument.
I know. I wouldn't be in here if you guys were real scientists. It wouldn't be entertaining.
Oh God,
That's curious.
So what's going on?
That's curious.
Oh, that's a burn right there.
That's what he assumes, that people that have these, lab coats and glasses and, pocket protectors are how it's like the way he interprets truth, right? If you're not one of these individuals, and the ones who are laughing,
just said I wouldn't be in here if you. The
ones who are laughing agree with him, right? The ones in here kind of making jokes about it. You guys think if a guy's not wearing a lab coat and he doesn't have a 3-letter acronym by his name, then he's not someone that's credible to take any information on. Everything else is laughable.
True, yeah. Alpha, you're not wrong about that one as well. It's there are people like
thanks
that.
for that, atheist. That's what I'm saying. I'm only pointing out the obvious thing
but
that Vlad is.
That. I said I wouldn't be here.
Well, isn't that what he said? See,
not quite. He just said a burn. Like I think he was kind of being funny. I don't know exactly what.
Tell me the burn. Tell me what's burning about this.
Autistic or something?
No, I can identify that the person who's speaking is ill-equipped to have a conversation about logic and reason, like you. Because you actually mock the fact that when
you guys,
I'm not going to present a 3-pointed argument.
He's saying that you guys.
It's not a 3-pointed argument.
Here for entertainment.
It's logical statements, sir. If you think that something's conclusive, you'd be able to formalize it in a way that you understand that it's true and it's valid, giving the argument a sound stance. So if something is sound, it is valid and true.
Why I believe the Earth was a globe. I told you why I believe the Earth is a globe, and you're asking me to delve into it more and make.
No, I didn't ask for you to delve into it more. If you think it's a globe, formalize it in a logical statement that proves conclusively that it is one.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
Binoculars, zoom cameras, right? It's just enabling us to be able to zoom in further than what we can see with the human eye. That's all, right? The thing is, you would have to have a horizon at a certain distance if the Earth's a globe, right? So if you're 6 foot tall and you're standing at the beach, the horizon has to be at 3 miles away. It's based on the geometry that they give us on the globe. Has to be there. It's like a physical, it's like picture like a curved hallway, right? A long hallway and it curves. Once someone walks around that curve, they've gone behind a physical obstruction, right? Turn that horizontal, and that's like the Earth curvature, right? So at a certain distance, something would have to go over the horizon, right? And you can't see it anymore because there's physical Earth blocking it from your view. Right? But we can see magnitudes further than you would be able to see on a globe, right? There's nothing blocking it from view.
To an extent.
To
a certain point, things they don't just disappear when they get so far away.
You understand the hallway example, right?
I understand the quote-unquote ship example. If you're stand at a point and the ship goes further down, it goes down. It doesn't just disappear. It quote-unquote goes to a bottom point because that is the curvature of the Earth.
Great example, right? That's a good thing to bring up. right? And if I were you in this situation, I probably would have brought that up as well, right? So have a look in the side chat, right? I've lived on the east coast of Australia for most of my life, right? Right on the beach, right? I had a boat. I was surfing, fishing. Spent a lot of time watching cruise ships sail out, fishing boats sail out into the ocean, right? And I never saw anything disappear over the horizon. Like what you actually see is the boat just gets smaller and smaller, right? Until it kind
The
of
next
fades
guy
off.
sees something go over.
Yeah, but
So,
yeah,
for example,
have a look.
let's say
Uh-huh.
hypothetically what you're saying is true. You claim that, yeah, where I'm from, I don't see anything, go over or whatever. But the next guy, the next guy, SpaceX, says, well, actually, yes, I see. So what's going on? Is
Yeah,
someone
so
blind?
no. Right. So what I'm
One's
talking
a
about
TV
is
show and one's reality. He lives in reality. The other people, you only see them on YouTube. There's a difference.
Okay.
yeah, look, let's just keep it what we're talking about, right? So we're talking about how far away the horizon would have to be on a globe. Okay,
Yeah.
and we're talking about ships now, right? That led us into the ships thing, right? So have a look in the side chat at what I posted at 8 minutes after the hour, right? It's a giant ship, right? It didn't go over the curve, right? You can see that when the person zoomed out, right, you can't see the ship, right? And this is what I'm used to seeing, right? So the ship will sail out and it'll get too small. And once something gets too small, you can't see it anymore, right? Once it gets 0.02 degrees in size, the human eye can't resolve it. It's called the angular resolution limitation of the human eye. Right. But what you can do now, because we have these amazing cameras, is we can zoom back in and that increases the angular size of the ship. And we'll see, oh, actually, right, we could see the horizon. We couldn't see the ship anymore. We could assume it went over the horizon. That's a fair assumption to make, right? But because we can zoom in on it, we can bring the entire ship back to view again. Right? So it wasn't over the horizon. It just went out of your perspective range. So there's tons of examples of this, right? Because people didn't used to have this type of zoom technology handy, right? In like 2015, they brought out these cameras called the Nikon P900 and P1000s a few years later, right? And these have like 83x optical zoom. So people started going out with these cameras that can shoot video, and they started like just making a really long distance observation to test the camera out. And what they found, right? They're like, damn, I could see this freaking island or this boat that's like 30 miles out. It should be hidden by hundreds and hundreds of feet of curvature, right? But I can see it. What's the deal with this, right? So they'll start doing some research. They'll start doing different observations. And they're like, I can see too far. You shouldn't be able to see that far if the Earth's a globe, right? So they started posting these videos online and it became really popular. So people started clicking on and going out and repeating these, right? So people took it to the next level. They started going out with high-powered lasers and shooting, instead of just using cameras, right? They were shooting like these $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 lasers. Like teams of field engineers, PhDs, like all sorts of people shooting these lasers over huge distances of water, right? Just above the surface of the water, right? And they're hitting their target on the other side of the body of water. Right? And there should be hundreds and hundreds of feet of curvature over that distance. And they're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Right? Some of these people, they weren't flat earthers. They were going out. They'd heard about flat earth. They're like, I'm going to go put this shit to bed, right? I'm going to go prove it wrong. Right? And they're like, wow, I can see these huge distances, right? Some of these people are PhDs and engineers. And yeah, so they have like these videos. There's huge amounts of them now.
Mm-hmm.
So
just as you would expect if what you observe and experience is true, right? So you observe it flat.
What?
So if
Sorry, can you repeat?
So I'm saying if you observe it flat, right, you would expect that, and that's the result people get.
Now that's just a claim. Just because I observe something
it's not a
to be
claim.
one way or another.
That's not a claim.
Okay.
That's an observation, right? So you look out at the Earth,
Sure.
and I
I
say,
might
what does
observe.
it look like?
Okay, let me elaborate. You said if you observe something to be flat, therefore it is flat. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
I said, well, you describe it as that, right? You look at
Okay,
it and it's
re-elaborate.
like, okay, it's flat, right? It looks flat,
No.
yeah. Okay, but then if that's true, if what you're seeing really is the case, then when you look over a large body of water like a lake, you would expect to be able to see straight across to the other side, right? Or to send a laser or a light source across the surface of that water, and it reaches the other side. You would expect that if what you're observing is true, then you would expect that to be the case, and that's what happens.
Sure.
Yeah, like I would just say, Cracker, like I would be on board with you if like the things were obstructed where they should be. Like if the boats were going over the horizon at where the horizon is supposed to be
See,
on a
that's
globe,
the thing.
it would make sense.
I'm trying to understand their point, but it still doesn't make much sense. I'm seeing
No curvature
Jeff
drop.
and
Water rests
hold
flat.
on.
No curvature drop.
I'm trying to speak. I've let others speak for like 2-3
Trying to get this
minutes.
through.
I've
Just trying to get this
okay.
across. It's real simple.
It's not real simple if it's taking it to
Okay,
take
so
less
one more
than
time. No
centuries.
curvature drop. Water rests flat.
You think that? You think that? But I
Demonstrate
think
that.
as God, this is
Yeah, we
insufferable.
demonstrate it. Well, why are you resisting the obvious reality here?
No. I could be saying the same thing about the Earth being circle, and we can all be
Circles are flat.
Circle being a sphere. Fine, being a sphere.
Yeah, you can say that. You can't demonstrate it though.
I can give you all the demonstrations in the world, and you'll still say no.
You haven't given me any.
Consistently
That's because there aren't any to give.
Lunar eclipse. Jeez.
And that's what you're doing. The irony is that's actually what you're doing. We can just directly demonstrate the water rests flat at any scale, and you can just go, nuh-uh.
That's
We can just do it 1,000 times. And you're just going to go, nuh-uh, to all of them like you've already done. Yeah, it's true. That's what's happening. Sad story.
Right, man. So if these qualified scientists are saying the Earth is round, what makes you unqualified?
Oh, well, I'm qualified in the physics of water. I grew up around water. I've spent my whole life around it. I'm drinking some water right now. I'm well experienced with it, and I do know that it rests horizontally and flat over its surface.
So scientists with PhDs say otherwise.
No, they don't.
Water. Yes,
no, they
do.
Don't. You could crack open a physics textbook, go to the section on hydrostatics, and they're going to say what I just said.
Those are outliers, man.
No, they're not. Water resting horizontal, liquids resting. NASA says this. NASA says
it's outliers. It's outliers.
NASA's saying it. Are they an outlier?
Can I speak, please?
Well, is NASA an outlier? Because I can cite them saying it.
Can I speak, please? Because NASA is the same people saying the Earth is round. No. I want a respectful conversation, and you're not allowing me to speak.
Yeah, but you're just
I've been biting my tongue this whole time.
All right, fine, cook.
Okay, so if you're saying NASA is saying the Earth rests flat, and NASA is the same people saying the Earth is round.
No, that's not what I said, though. This is why I'm cutting you off, because I didn't say that.
You say it rests horizontally. Horizontal
liquids. Yeah, liquids. They'll say that, and then they'll make the incoherent claim that the Earth at large is a globe, even though they also admit that liquids rest horizontally.
But it's relative.
Both those things can't be true, right? Both of those can't be true.
You think it rests flat because you at that point as a human, you think it does because you're so small.
That's the
we already did that.
Yeah, that's the.
We already did that with the scale and everything. That's what the point of the long distance observation
of science. This is the basics of science.
No, it's not.
Listen. One of the claims they make. Okay, so they make two claims. One claim they make is that the surface of liquid at rest is flat and horizontal. Lies flat and horizontal, and another claim they claim that on a larger scale and from a long way away you can view the surface of liquid not laying horizontal. It's actually curving. Now, which one of those two claims, right, can you, as an individual, validate to be true?
Can you repeat, please, one more time? Sorry, cut off on my end.
All right, look, there's two claims that's being made. One, by the same people, right? One, that the surface of liquid at rest lies horizontal. And then there's another claim that they make that at a larger, grander scale and from a long way away, you can view the surface of liquid not lying horizontal and actually curving. Which one of those two claims that has been made by the same source, right, can you as an individual validate to be true?
Both are true.
Can't be.
No, which one? That's not what I asked.
Okay, hold on.
That's not what I
give me an
asked.
answer.
What did I ask? What did I
Give me an
ask?
answer.
Which one of those two can you which one of those, well, can you validate either? Can you validate either of those two claims?
I just said I could validate both.
Okay, validate the second one. That the liquid of surface the liquid surface of the surface of liquid is curving and not horizontal.
Hold on, let me pull up a source.
Oh, yeah, those can't.
Yeah,
Let's not speak facts. Let's speak.
He just asked which one you could. He just asked which you could do. Which one?
Maybe a demonstration would be better.
Personally, as an individual, which one of those two can you validate to be
And
true?
as an individual, I get these points off sources. So let me pull up some names real quick.
Oh my God, I'm talking about practical demonstration, first-hand knowledge and experience.
Okay, first-hand knowledge and experience. When I'm on an airplane, here's how I can tell that the Earth is not flat. Distance.
So now you're going to be going against your own pseudoscientists that you were invoking up till now.
How can I speak?
Well, I'm just letting you know what you're about to do. About to trip over a bunch of past claims that you made, so go ahead.
You're talking to a wall, man.
Is that what you are?
No, you're saying stuff for your ego and not allowing me to speak.
I'm just letting you know what you're about to do. If you're going to say that you're going to see a globe Earth from the height of an airplane, then you're going to be going against those so-called scientists that you were appealing to just a minute earlier.
And you're ignoring the guy's question. You're not answering the other guy's question, which is kind of rude.
You're
He put that
not
effort out
allowing
there
me
to ask
to
you.
pull up my sources.
You already have the source. Go fill up a sink with some water and just see what it does over its surface.
What's that?
If I fill up, it's because it's relative.
No, it's not. We can show it at a larger scale too. It's always like that.
No, it's not. At a larger scale, you have to go outside in space and you see it for yourself.
You can't. Space doesn't exist. It's natural law violation. You have a pressurized system next to a near perfect vacuum.
Jeez, so where are the stars? Jeez, hold on.
Above
We're
you.
going elsewhere.
In the sky, obviously.
Pause. We're claim adding whatever the other dude said.
No, it's not claim stacking.
Okay.
No, space is fake, just like you said. You need to prove otherwise, because it's your claim, it's real, so you need to prove it.
I thought we were not claim adding or whatever.
You brought up space. So why don't you stop talking about other things?
No, I want to answer this guy's question first.
Okay, well then you need...
It is 12 a.m. right now. I'm trying the best I can with minimal sleep. So please, can you give me some grace?
Yeah.
Well, if you were listening, he would have asked you. You should have paid attention to the fact that he was asking you for a practical demonstration. We don't need you to repeat the claim that, the water curves. You need to show us a measurement of the water curving, and can you validate that? That was what was asked of you.
Okay, fine. So let's just establish this, right? Relatively, as humans, we, from our standing point with our eyes.
I'm taking that as I can't.
Can I please speak?
Yeah, I'm just going to shorten it for you. I can't validate the second claim to be true.
You can't speak for me.
Yeah, because that's what it's leading
Speak your
to.
second claim. Gosh, if we want a reasonable conversation, we can agree to disagree, but at least
stop whinging about whinging and just get on with it. I'm sick of little kids crying about, oh, you're not stopping me.
No, it's not crying. It's about...
Yap, we don't care. Get to the friggin' point before I get any older.
You're going to appeal to this vantage point, this perspective of view that you can't achieve.
You're not allowing me to speak.
Yeah, that's what you're basically going to reiterate. We've heard it, okay? You've already said, Earth too biggy, can't see curvy. What curve?
There is a curve.
Yeah, which is validated how?
Hold on.
I go chat GPT it.
No, my headphones are dead. I'm switching.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Could you at least concede that the one that you can validate is water lying horizontal, but that's just what you can validate? I mean, would that be fair or not fair?
Yeah. Already agreed on that.
That water is lying horizontally?
That we experience the Earth as flat, a flat plane, right? And a stationary plane. Like we already agreed on that one. Right, but you're saying that we're so small, but really there is curvature. Then you brought up images from space, right? And then we kind of went over that. And now you're saying there's some other evidence.
I can agree to disagree on that for ease of flow of conversation.
Yeah, that's fine, right? But if you actually look into it, then you'll find that they are actually composited images. That's fine. Regardless, like we can't validate those images. Let's just say they weren't composites and they were claimed to be real photos, right? We would need to validate that actually matches reality, right? So you're saying that you have some sort of validation that there is curvature over distance, even though we don't experience any. So, like, what do you think that would be?
We don't experience. Wait, hold on. You're saying we don't experience any? True. What is that would be? Is that the curvature?
No, I mean, like, okay, so we experience it as flat. We agree on that, right? And we can't validate so we wouldn't, if you say there's photographs of the curvature, right, we would then need to validate that those photographs actually match reality, right? So how would we go about doing that?
Now,
or who
to an extent,
well, hold on a second, not how would we
with
go?
the naked human
Well,
eye,
let me just change.
as ourselves, positionally, we experience the Earth as flat. You would need, of course, extra gear. Now, let's not construe the type of lens we'd be using, because, of course, lenses can disprove everything. Now, for example, the photo which Kilian sent, this is a panoramic photo. The lens is already construed. That's a point you move straight. It's a panoramic photo. So that already disproves, the thing.
Right, but it doesn't matter, like, so even if the Earth was a globe, right, that would still be a flat horizon in that photo, right? If it was flat or if it was a globe. So that's not evidence of a globe, right? So what we need is some kind of evidence that the Earth is actually curving over distance. Now, I went over with you earlier that there would have to be 10 miles of drop over 66 foot of drop over just 10 miles. Right? That's literally like a 6-story building. So what we can do is we can actually go and test over 10 miles of water, and we've done that, right? So we can go to a 10-mile lake, for example, and set up a camera on a tripod just a foot off the surface and zoom across the 10-mile lake, right? And see the shoreline or a person standing on the other side of the lake. Now, if the Earth was a globe, that person would have to be hidden behind the curvature by over 50 foot. So,
okay.
So there's tons of these observations. You haven't seen any of these yet, right? But we have videos of them, high definition videos showing the entire process, start to finish.
Now,
right?
don't you think that quote unquote that drop we are expecting to see and what you are claiming we are not seeing, wouldn't you say that is quote unquote relative to like our straight line point
What's
of
your
position
heart
of
on
our
with this
line?
relativity bullshit?
It's part of my point.
It's a cop out, though.
Everything is relative.
You're not making a point. Exactly. Heretic summed it up. It's a cop out. You haven't got any.
You guys claiming they're copping out.
Relative.
Okay, so if a building is far away from me and it's small, does that make it small?
I'm glad you understand perspective, little one.
This is an analogy. It's a test of critical thinking. If a building is far away from me,
I'm glad you understand perspective, little one.
It could be the Burj Khalifa. It's far away from me and it looks small. Does that make it small?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Cracker,
So it is relative. It is relative, right?
Cracker, can you hear me?
The concept of relativity is not some sort of...
Cracker, you made a big mistake.
Yeah, I'll sort it out quickly. Matrix, 1 second. Right, Cracker, if you have Matrix muted, right, we can't have anyone muted.
I didn't mute anyone.
Can you hear Matrix talking? Can you hear like the other Aussie guy talking right now?
I'm hearing.
We'll have another guy.
Like I swear, on everything I own, I didn't mute anyone.
You guys are the only cowards to mute people.
Be quiet, Felicia. All right, so have a chat. Felicia was just talking, but that's okay. They're not talking anymore. Right, so have a chat with Matrix, Cracker Snacker.
I've never heard someone swear on their own shit. That's a new one. I swear on everything I own.
I can't mute people.
You
some pots and pans.
Then.
I didn't mute anyone.
His pajamas. It's his mom's bedroom set, so yeah, not much.
Find it
in. You say that is quote unquote relative to like a
6-story building. So what?
Now, for example, the photo which Kilian sent. This is a panoramic photo. The lens is already construded. That's a point. You move straight. It's a panoramic photo, so that already disproves, the thing.
Right, but it doesn't matter. Like, so even if the Earth was a globe, right, that would still be a flat horizon in that photo, right? If it was flat or if it was a globe. So that's not evidence of a globe, right? So what we need is some kind of evidence that the Earth is actually curving over distance. Now, I went over with you earlier that there would have to be 10 miles of drop over 66 foot of drop over just 10 miles. Right? That's literally like a 6-story building. So what we can do is we can actually go and test over 10 miles of water. And we've done that, right? So we can go to a 10-mile lake, for example, and set up a camera on a tripod just a foot off the surface and zoom across the 10-mile lake, right? And see the shoreline or a person standing on the other side of the lake. Now, if the Earth was a globe, that person would have to be hidden behind the curvature by over 50 foot. So,
okay.
So there's tons of these observations. You haven't seen any of these yet, right? But we have videos of them, high definition videos showing the entire process, start to finish.
Now, don't you think that quote unquote that drop we are expecting to see and what you are claiming we are not seeing, wouldn't you say that is quote unquote relative to like our straight line point of position of our line?
What's your hard on with this relativity bullshit?
It's part of my point.
The cop out, though.
You're not making a point. Exactly. Heretic summed it up. It's a cop out. You haven't got any.
You guys claiming they're copping out.
Relative.
Okay, so if a building is far away from me and it's small, does that make it small?
I'm glad you understand perspective, little one.
This is an analogy. It's a test of critical thinking. If a building is far away from me,
I'm glad you understand perspective, little one.
It could be the Burj Khalifa. It's far away from me and it looks small. Does that make it small? Point of position of our line.
This relativity bullshit.
It's part of my point.
The cop out, though.
Everything is relative.
You're not making a point. Exactly. Heretic summed it up. It's a cop out. You haven't got any.
You guys claiming they're copping out.
Relative.
Okay, so If a building is far away from me and it's small, does that make it small?
I'm
No,
glad
that's
you
This is an
understand
analogy.
perspective, little one.
This is an analogy. It's a test of critical thinking. If a building is far away from me and it's small, does that make it small?
I'm
No,
glad
that's
you
This is an
understand
analogy.
perspective, little one.
This is an analogy. It's a test of critical thinking. If a building is far away from me and it's small, does that make it small?
I'm
No,
glad
that's
you
This is an
understand
analogy.
perspective, little one.
This is an analogy. It's a test of critical thinking. If a building is far away from me,
I'm
it is
glad
the
you
Burj
understand
Khalifa. It could be the
perspective,
Burj
little one.
Khalifa. It could be the Burj Khalifa. It's far away from me and it looks small. Does that make
correct.
it small?
No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Cracker,
So
can
it
you
is
hear me?
relative. It is relative, right?
Cracker, can you hear me?
The concept of relativity is not some sort of.
Cracker, you made a big mistake.
Yeah. I'll sort it out quickly. Matrix, 1 second. Right, Cracker. If you have Matrix muted, right, we can't have anyone muted.
I didn't mute anyone.
Can you hear Matrix talking? Can you hear like the other Aussie guy talking right now?
I'm hearing.
We'll have another go.
Like I swear, on everything I own, I didn't mute anyone.
You guys are the only cowards who mute people.
Be quiet, Felicia. All right, so have a chat. Felicia was just talking, but that's okay. They're not talking anymore. Right, so have a chat with Matrix, Cracker Snacker.
I've never heard someone swear on their own shit. That's a new one. I swear on everything I own.
I can't mute people.
You
Some
understand
pots and
perspective
pans.
then.
I didn't mute anyone.
His pajamas. It's his mom's bedroom set, so yeah, not much.
I find it interesting they could hear me straight off, and now all of a sudden they can't hear me. I've never had.
No, I mean you are pretty low, brother.
I swear on my iPhone, I did not mute anyone.
I'm $3 million in debt. I swear on everything I own.
Boost on.
Does that mean they have to pay your debt then? If you,
of course.
Oh.
Yeah, I got you on 200%, and you're still coming in a little bit low.
I don't know why I haven't changed anything. So, anyways.
That's a bit better.
That's a bit better, man. Can you hear me?
Maybe you're just a little tiny guy with a real shy, quiet voice.
Oh shit, that's funny.
That was funny.
Anyways, Cracker, so you understand perspective. When things get further away, they get smaller. Nowhere in that does it say when things get further away, they bend backwards.
We're not saying it bends backwards.
Well, in order for you to have your ball tard, they must.
Have your what?
Ball tard. You know, globe, oblate spheroid, sphere.
Okay.
So where have you got any proofs of curvature that have been measured? Observable, measurable, repeatable.
Cameras, man.
Cameras.
The same cameras you're proving they're flat.
So
did I ask a different question, or yeah, Tita?
Sorry, man. Can I get one of these cameras and go take the same photos?
Oh yeah, let me give you the name.
How are you? Like, why don't you show us a particular space photo you believe in? Why don't you show us a photo you actually believe is real?
I'm not able to add any photos.
Oh. Because if you post any photo claiming to be of the Earth, I'm going to post a photo also claiming to be of the Earth that's going to contradict that photo. It's going to look completely different. It's going to show different things.
Now,
so this is the fundamental problem. Is it's impossible to evaluate the image because you've never seen the Earth from that point of view, right? So you have no idea what the Earth looks like, right?
You allow photos as a mean of evidence, then?
What people? You?
No. If I believe...
So people you've never met?
No. Can I speak?
Yeah.
So if we are saying, well, photos can be manipulated, your photo is
not what I said.
Lens...
Not what I said. not what I
if the
said.
lens is if the
You're
lens is
dominating
like
my position.
this,
That's not what I
if
said.
a photo is like this, should we still be
So
using
you're just going
photos
to keep
as evidence?
chanting.
How about you address what he said instead of making
That's
up
what
your
I
own
said.
bullshit
Oh
stories?
man, that's not. I said they're impossible to evaluate. You can't tell if they're fake or real. You
So
can't
that's what you're
evaluate them at all.
Oh
There's no
God.
possibility of evaluation.
Okay, I
You gotta
agree to
perk up
disagree.
those ears, cracker.
Okay, tell me how you evaluated the photos to be real.
You check up the lens. You see if the lens is worth.
No, okay, that's it. Okay, that's all fine. Okay, but they're claiming, hey, this is what the Earth looks like. How can you evaluate that is real, or actual claim that is true? Okay, so let's do it this way. I took a picture of a horse, right? And in the image you saw a deer, and I was like, look, it's a picture of a horse. You're like, bullshit, that's a deer, right?
Look
You
at
can
the
evaluate.
the
Yeah, you can
genotype
evaluate.
of the
Yeah,
deer.
you can evaluate. You would need the deer. Okay, so point is that you have reference, right? You have a reference to a deer. You have reference to a horse. You've seen both of those things before. You can tell if it's the thing I'm saying it is. You have no reference for the Earth.
So if I say the
You have no
reference is a
possibility
sphere,
of evaluation.
I have reference
Well,
with the Earth is a
apart
sphere,
from your
and I
direct
pull up the
No, you have
sphere.
no reference of what it looks like.
Oh God.
except from the surface, right? Or any possible altitude that you can achieve, which at all altitudes, it's still
All you can do is compare it to other people claiming this is what the Earth looks like in other photographs. But you'll notice that those photographs don't line up with each other. No photo purporting to be of the Earth looks like any other photo purporting to be of the Earth. Look at this shit Japan Jackson produced, right? And then look what the Russians produce. And then look what the US produces. And then look what Elon Musk produces. They all look different.
Excuse me, can you repeat?
If you look at the images claiming to be of the Earth, say that the Japanese space agency JAXA produces.
They all happen to be curved.
So what?
What's your point?
My point is none of the images depict the same looking Earth, other than it's round. The proportions of the continents, the color, the cloud cover, everything's different.
You know, clouds, are not constant.
Yeah, I'm well aware of that. I'm
So
talking about the ratio. I'm talking about ratios, not the identical cloud layout. I'm talking about the ratios. How much of the surface of the Earth is covered in clouds versus in one image versus another?
Well, it's going to change because clouds move.
Yeah, well, one will show you can barely see any land, and one you can see land crystal clear. It doesn't change like that.
Early
Half the Earth is covered in cloud one time, and then that has no clouds the next time. The point is, but this is straying from the point. The point is, they're impossible to evaluate. Not you can't or you don't want to. It's impossible. You have no reference to compare it to. You can't compare it from memory, right?
So let's compare it to what we actually do observe and experience and measure.
Yeah, if you compare your actual memory of the Earth, it ain't like that.
So if multiple sources are showing the curvature of the Earth, they are all showing the same curvature.
They're not.
Are you saying
No, they're not.
Oh, watch, dude. There's thousands of pictures of Santa Claus and aliens and fucking Bigfoot.
Okay, Santa Claus is a fantasy, man.
No, the pictures prove they're real, dude. This is your logic.
Santa Claus is real.
The pictures prove they're real. Your logic is if there's pictures from lots of sources, that proves they're real.
There are no pictures of Santa Claus.
There's thousands of pictures of Santa Claus. What are you talking about?
Like the real Santa Claus or some old white guy?
Oh, yeah, there's pictures. They're all the real Santa Claus, every single one of them.
Is this guy serious?
Yeah, I am serious. This is called testing your logic.
There is one Earth you're standing on. There are gazillion quote-unquote individuals pretending to be Santa Claus.
No, that's
one
actually
Earth,
the same Santa.
There is one Earth.
And ironically, I just said the pictures of the Earth don't look like each other. But now you're saying there's individual Santas. Well, I guess there's individual Earths too.
You can't compare photos of Santa Claus to a photo of Earth. There's one Earth.
Why?
There's one Earth. The cameras are going out to take
There's
a photo
one Santa
of
Claus.
But Santa Claus is not real.
Yeah, it's not either.
Pictures, bro. The pictures prove Santa's real.
But he is not real.
But he is because we have pictures.
Of Santa Claus.
What are you saying? Are you saying they're all fake?
No, I'm saying actually, yes, Santa Claus is not real.
All pictures
I'm not
of Santa
this from a grown man.
So what's the problem? You going all pictures purporting to be from Earth are fake?
Because the concept of Santa Claus is impossible. There's no such thing.
The concept of a globe Earth is impossible.
Give me a scientific evidence of Santa Claus being real, and I can give you scientific evidence of the Earth being round.
Oh, bullshit, you can.
Oh, boy.
No, can you give me a scientific evidence of Santa
bullshit,
Claus
you
being
can.
real?
It's not even the right category.
No, can you give me scientific evidence of Santa Claus being real?
No, because scientific evidence deals with the natural world. Okay?
Okay.
And specifically it deals with it deals
a logical explanation.
Science is the systematic study of the natural world and the behaviors.
Give me a logical explanation of Santa Claus being real then.
Okay. There's lots of pictures of Santa, and they can't all be fake.
Side chatting.
Lots of Disney characters, but those aren't real. Those are man-made.
No, those are all for real.
Are you being very serious? Or are you trying to prove a point here?
Are you not listening when I say this is your logic?
There is one Earth.
This type of argument is called a reduction. It's called a reduction to absurdity. If I follow your premise to its logical conclusion, right, that photographs, if they come from lots of sources, and there's lots of them, are real, then photos of Santa are real, photos of Bigfoot are real, photos of aliens are fucking real, photos of goddamn ghosts are real.
I'm seeing a photo sent by T-Dub. I'm sorry, I'm seeing it a bit late.
Listen, steal me my argument I just made. Steal me the argument I just made. No, steal me an argument I just made because you're ignoring me and I'm getting pissed off. Tell me what I just told you.
Using the high road, disagree.
Tell me what I just told you.
Because I've gone in a circle.
Tell me what I just told you.
Repeat, because I'm not listening.
We know. Okay. That's the friggin' problem.
You're not letting me speak, so why must I give you the credit?
Don't go back to that shit again, or I'll stomp this out real quick.
I've repeated the same argument 5 times. You have yet to refute it. You have not even addressed it.
There is one Earth, and I'm accepting my refute.
Yeah, and I said, there's lots of photos of Earth, and they all look different. How do you know there's one Earth?
Lenses.
Okay.
But the
which one?
Thing.
So which one in the picture I posted? Which one is that? Which one is the true one?
Wait, let me open the chat.
Like as if they're going to be able to tell.
They're all spheres, are they not?
I like with the
which one's the real one?
I like the 5 hurricanes.
Exactly is the point. If the argument is the Earth is flat, colors may vary for whatever reason. But if
no, there's no argument that it's flat. It's measured flat.
If all
so
these
basically,
you were asked, you were asked.
Show a sphere. Now your arguments, as long as they show a sphere, they're real.
No. Yeah. It's not as long. If the color comes out different, that could be the processing of a sensor, the type of camera being used. But if you're trying to make a point that the Earth is flat, but the photos are coming out as round.
No, that's not the argument. Hold on. That's not the argument. The argument is They're impossible to evaluate. There's people claiming, hey, these are pictures of the Earth. How do we test if that claim is true?
Of course, there are many theories of it.
How do we test if that claim is true? Do we take it on faith?
No.
Okay, so what's the objective test we can perform to determine whether the people that make the claim, this is a picture, this is what the Earth looks like, how do we know that's true?
There are many claims for this, many ways you can prove
You're deflecting. You're deflecting, dude. Don't do it. Just answer the question.
You say how, I'm saying you can, of course, pile as many claims as you want to prove it.
So that's it? Like, there's lots of claims?
There are several.
That's how we determine it? So we count it. So we determine the truth by counting the number of claims. So listen, that's what we do. We determine whether the picture is real by counting the number of claims. Is that your position?
It's not counting the claims. It's by proving that these claims are true.
How? Okay, how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we do that?
I've explained the lunar eclipse. We can talk about gravity.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't tell us anything about the images.
We can talk about
aerospace. Don't tell us anything about these images.
We can talk about planes.
Yeah, that doesn't tell us anything about these images.
It does. You're already presuming that.
What does me observing a lunar eclipse on Earth tell me about whether those images are real or not?
Because it shows the curvature of the Earth.
That doesn't say listen, that could be the curvature of the Earth on the moon. It doesn't necessitate that the images are real.
Now, which part are you claiming is not real?
Okay, when we debunked it before,
stop trying to reverse the burden of proof.
No, you're trying to ask
you fucking sped. No, you sped, dude. You're a sped. Okay, you're trying to reverse the burden of proof. I'm going to ask you again for like the ninth time. How can we test if the claims of the people that say this is a picture of the Earth are actually true?
Hint, there's only one way.
The fact is, you can't, and you know it. And you don't want to say it because you don't want to think that you have a faith belief system, but you do.
Tell me what I think, because you know me.
You demonstrated what you think. You said, I think these images are real, but there's no justification for why you think they're real. You have no justification for that.
There is only one way you could validate those images are true.
Yeah, and that's why T-Dub asked you, which one can you verify for yourself? Because if we can't verify it for ourselves, then it's a faith-based belief system. And you can't say you actually know anything. You're just like, oh, okay, I believe this. That's fine. Believe whatever you want, but don't claim you know.
Can you really prove everything in the world? Okay,
you can prove what you can prove.
Not everything can be proven, and that's a deflection, dude.
Excuse me? I'm sorry, you cut off from my end.
I said, no, not everything can be proven. Go see Gödel's incompleteness theorem. So, like, it's just dumb. Just because some things can't be proven doesn't mean all this. Just because all things can't be proven doesn't mean some things can't be proven. And they claim that the Earth's a ball and that they know it's a ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we're asking, what's the source of this knowledge?
We have public satellite data.
There is no we. There's no we, dude. There's no we. There's no we. There's individuals that are not you that said they did something.
We can see with our own two eyes. I didn't make a camera, but I can see stuff through a camera.
Who is we? You're trying to give a false sense of validity by saying the word we.
No, as humans.
There's no we, dude. There's just
easy as we as humans can prove one.
Are you prepared to face the Hague for your war crimes against humanity?
What war crimes did I commit, sir?
We committed.
Humanity did it. Humanity did it. So I guess you're in the we. So now you don't want to be in that we.
I'm including myself.
Yeah, until it comes to war crimes.
Why are we talking about?
Yeah, you mean the royal we? Yeah, we use that term all the
We're
time.
saying
I don't know why they do.
your addition of we is ad hoc. There is no we. There's just you and some people you don't know making claims you can't test.
If we have eyes and if we can access the public satellite imaging and we see with our eyes that it is curved.
Okay.
How do you evaluate those images?
Okay, dude, you're just in a loop. Okay, so there's people saying, hey, go to this internet site. These are pictures we took from a satellite.
No,
how do you know that's true? How do you know that's true?
Because it's a camera and cameras replicate what is seen.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean what's in front of the camera is the Earth. It could be any number of things. Could be a scale model. Could be a painting. Could be fucking CGI. Could be fucking an optical printer. It could be a traveling mass. There's all sorts of ways to make images.
Could be a high altitude image taken through a tube.
It could be an upside down fucking camera. Seen that before too. Take a camera, you turn it upside down, and it looks like, if the clouds are moving, it looks like, hey, I'm sailing over a fucking giant ball of Earth.
Right, man.
Once again, I ask you, how can you test the authenticity?
Not upside down.
If you take a camera and put it upside down, right, and the sky is blue, right, so if you, the images you think look like the Earth from space, right, the ISS see clouds passing by because it's supposed to be moving, right? See the blue ocean, clouds passing by. You put the camera upside down, it looks the same.
Right, man.
Yeah, right, man. But the point is, okay, you're just saying, hey, I can test their claims by believing their claims. Not a test of their claims. Why is it so hard to admit you can't test it and you just?
No, I'm reading the chat.
Okay, that's fine, but why is it so hard for you to just admit you can't test it and you can't verify it in any way, shape, or form?
I literally said we can use cameras, bro. But you're saying now you're bringing external factors.
Cameras from
saying,
where?
Oh, what if?
Cameras from where?
You can buy one at the store. Telephoto lens.
What I mean, and take a picture of what?
You can see the curvature of the Earth using a telephoto lens, which you capture on your
using a telephoto lens. Do you know what you're talking about?
DSLR mirrorless camera.
Okay, you know a telephoto lens decreases the field of view, right?
Telephoto lens or panoramic
Yeah,
lens.
telephoto lenses decrease the field of view. Say you have a 45 millimeter lens and the field of view is 25 degrees. If you get a telephoto lens, say 800 millimeter, now you're going to see like 1 degree. That's the reverse of what you're trying to do. You need a wider angle lens.
You can use the zoom lens to also prove it.
Zoom in on what?
For example, so you're claiming that the Earth, for example, the ship, right? The ship that could have been.
No, he didn't claim anything. He asked you a question.
Who was the person claiming about the ship?
We could do ships over the horizon. That's going to go badly for you. Have you ever tried to make this observation yourself?
No, I've performed other tests.
Okay. Well, I have done this test. I actually live by the ocean. I've never seen a ship go over the horizon. Ever. I've never seen a ship go over the horizon. Ever. Ever. Never.
Wait.
Never. But I have seen ships go out to sea 30 miles.
You've never seen a ship go over the horizon?
Exactly.
So it just keeps
Have
going.
you? Well, what ends up happening is because there's a visibility limit due to the meteorological conditions, it just fades away. The air becomes too opaque, so you just can't see it anymore. Right? It gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer.
But you can see it disappearing from the bottom first.
No. Not what I saw. No, dude.
So
I'm
if I
telling
say
you,
that's
no.
what I saw, if I say that's what I saw, does that make me right?
You already admitted you haven't. You'd be lying.
But other people are saying that's what they saw. And now other people are, you can, for example, you or other people, you can say that's what you saw.
Listen, this isn't a regular observation. It happens because of specific meteorological conditions where there's an inferior mirage right at the horizon. You know how we know this? It's because we can demonstrate it because we can demonstrate the same visual effect on a known flat surface. So now we know it is an Earth curve, right? We can demonstrate the identical visual effect on a surface we know is flat.
Because you're already making the presumption it's flat using a flawed technique.
No, there's no presumption.
There is a
involved.
presumption the Earth is flat by using a quote unquote a flat surface.
No, okay.
No, you can make a flat surface.
Okay, so check this out. So if you have a lake that's 1,000 feet long and the horizon's 2,600 feet away, can something disappear behind the horizon?
It goes from the bottom to the top.
I'm asking you a question. If you have a lake 1,000 feet long, shouldn't you see all the way to the other shore if the horizon's supposed to be 2,600 feet away? So the horizon's supposed to be 2.5 times farther than the width of the lake.
And you're saying I should see it?
Listening, dude. Okay. The horizon.
I see it, as in I should
have
be
a
seeing
camera. Okay. What blocks the ship? The horizon, right?
Arguably the curvature of the Earth.
I'm asking you. Yeah, but that's the horizon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so the horizon is what blocks the ship. Now, the horizon is supposed to have a prescribed distance. Okay? Now, say the distance is 2,400 feet. Okay, got it?
Mm-hmm.
And the ship starts disappearing in 1,000 feet. Can that be Earth curve?
It starts disappearing at 1,000 feet.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. I got a thing from my headphones. Say it again.
I'm reiterating what you're saying. You're saying it disappears from 1,000 feet.
Yeah.
But what was the distance of the horizon you said?
It's supposed to be 2,400 feet.
That's the curvature of the Earth.
That's what you think, yes. That's where you think the curvature of the Earth is supposed to start. Horizon. Yeah, so how would it disappear before the horizon?
Because it's the curvature of the Earth.
Before the horizon.
You can see the tip, it starts from bottom.
Before the horizon. I said before the horizon, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Before the horizon.
Because the curvature is consistent.
Okay, Cracker, you're not listening. The horizon is a set distance. How can something disappear pre the horizon? After, we understand. Pre, you've got some explaining to do. You're not fucking getting it.
Yeah, no, listen, you get it, okay? You've already admitted that the horizon is the curve of the Earth. That's what you said. So how can something disappear before the curve of the Earth?
You're saying as if there's a
Answer my fucking question, dude.
I'm answering your question, man, because the curve is consistent.
Disappear before the curve of the Earth?
The curve of the Earth is seen as the horizon.
Yes, but it can't obstruct your view. It can't obstruct your view until a certain distance based on your height.
Because
it cannot. It cannot obstruct your view
Are you
based on
claiming there's
your
two
height
horizons?
until it gets to a certain
No,
distance.
I'm claiming that the curvature of the Earth is consistent, and that includes the horizon.
Dude, you're just making that up, dude.
I'm not making that up.
Curvature of the Earth is not consistent.
If you see a sphere,
It's
the
not.
curvature is
It's not going
consistent.
to obstruct
Yeah,
your
it's a
view.
cool story, man. You're just chanting like a nutball at this point.
Can the curvature of the Earth obstruct your view before a certain distance, or is there a certain distance at which point it will begin to do that based on your
Of
height?
course, there is a certain distance where it can begin.
Okay, so what if we observe something disappear from view before it reaches that point?
There's a range for these things, man.
What
It's not a
Yes.
stand
Dude, answer the
You
question.
just said it was consistent, and now there's a range.
Of course,
Is it consistent, or is there a
and then of
range,
course
or is there a
it's relative.
consistent range? Dude, now it's relative. Dude, you're just full of shit. Okay, you're getting cooked. Sorry.
The height of a building is consistent, even if it is far from you. Okay?
We're not talking about the height of a building.
It's an analogy.
We're talking about your
You have
so-called
critical
ball-tard
thinking. You know how to
curvature.
use analogies.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're not talking about analogies. We're talking about measurable distances. You've claimed there's a set distance that things disappear behind the curve.
Man,
So what if
True or
something
false?
disappears? What if something disappears before that distance? Then what?
Is it disappears before that distance?
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
So I've been trying to tell you the whole time.
I'm telling you guys, and repeating this the same thing. The curvature of the Earth is consistent.
Yeah, you already said that, but then you also said you have a range refuting your previous statement of consistency.
Of course, because
And then you reference consistency to a building which doesn't have a range. So don't try to be a fucking weasel, dude. We're listening very closely to your words.
Cracker, why argue for like? I mean, on like maybe it's too personal, but why are you arguing for something that I know you said it's the case that the Earth's a globe, but you didn't really have any information on it, the consequences of it, the size of it. Why argue for it? You know what I mean?
Because it's the most logical explanation.
You're being pretty illogical with it.
Oh, is it? Give us the syllogism.
Of course, you're going to say I'm illogical because you would disagree.
No, like logic isn't an agree-disagree thing.
Are
It
you
either
guys
is or it
open to
isn't.
an open mind
Well,
to change your mind?
Cracker, just to show you your logic, you've just told us there's a distance that things disappear behind the curve. And yet we ask you about things disappearing in front of the curve, and you've done everything but sidestep it.
It's relative, dude. Someone
relative to what? Relative to what? Relative to what?
Can I speak, dude? Relax.
No, you can answer relative to what?
I'm speaking to the point.
It should be relative to your fucking elevation. That's it.
That's what I'm speaking. I'm saying it's relative to the point of view.
How about we change this relativity and we give it a set distance? 1 foot. 1 foot of elevation.
That relativity.
I'm giving you a set distance, a set elevation. 1 foot. No more, no less. We're going to stick your camera. We're going to stick your fucking head. I don't care what your viewing thing is. 1 foot of elevation. How far should you see? It's a ball, remember?
How much of the surface should you be able to see?
And how tall am I? Because that accounts
1
to
1 foot.
I am 1 foot tall.
Yes, yes. Your eyes are 1 foot above the surface. Now, how much of the surface can you see?
Whatever the set distance is.
Yeah, look it up.
Which is?
Type in distance to horizon calculator into Google. Pull one up. Type in 1 foot observer height. Give us the answer.
It should be at around 1.96 kilometers.
Okay. All right. So can something appear to disappear bottom up before it reaches that distance? Due to the curvature of the Earth. Or is that the distance beyond which an object will begin to appear obstructed from the bottom up?
Yeah, we know why you don't want to say yes.
And I
Because as soon
think
as you say yes
explain.
or no, we're going to whip out the demonstration where we show it happens. And I will even bring up a fucking globetard that does it too, National Geographic. They even demonstrated it.
And
The
they're the same
horizon's
ones
at the
saying
edge
that
of a
Earth
ball. It's not Earth curve. The horizon moves around from day to day. Every other glober on Earth admits this. For some reason, you think it's Earth curve.
Whip it out. No Diddy.
So I can go out one day and the horizon will be 6 miles, and I can go out another day and the horizon will be 10 miles, and I can go out another day and it'll be 3 miles.
Well, that doesn't sound consistent.
Now, if you're saying, hold on. Wait, which point do I touch first? Because you said something about the horizon not being consistent.
The horizon is consistently inconsistent.
And how is that not evidence of the Earth not being...
What, changing size?
Hold on, I'm trying to use your logic here.
Is it evidence of the Earth changing size?
Evidence of the Earth changing in size?
Yeah, because it would have to change in size for the horizon to move around because you think it's where the curve starts.
You think it's
so if the
changing
curve starts
size?
farther away, the Earth is bigger. If it starts closer, the Earth is smaller.
If the Earth is changing size, the gravitational pull is changing size as well.
Jesus Christ, dude, you're a nitwit.
No, it's science.
This thing is so broken in the head.
No, it's science. There's say logic, science, it's chant shit, dude. It's hilarious.
Maybe you don't get the geometric horizon argument that the globe side are making, that boats and ships are going over a geometric curve. Maybe you don't understand that. Do you understand that?
I mean, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah, it's like a geometric curve of a ball that the boats are supposed to be going over. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so if you're standing at a certain observer height, how could that be, say, 5 miles one day and then 10 miles the next? Unless the ball has grown in size. Understand?
Grown in
It's
size.
supposed to be consistent. It's supposed to be consistent. If you're a 6-foot observer, the horizon's supposed to be about 2.5, 3 miles away from you. Because that's the curve of the ball, based on the size of the ball they tell us it is, and your observer height. So that's what it works out at.
Is consistent is horizon is always at eye level, no matter how high you go.
Right. But the distance is dictated by the geometry of this ball that they tell us we're living on, right?
Sure.
Right? Okay. But in reality, it's not. That's the problem. So where the globe says you'll see the horizon at maximum 2.5, 3 miles for a 6-foot observer, we can see it at 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, and on, right? Meaning, it's not the curve of a ball Earth. Pretty simple. You understand?
You've jumped several guns.
Well, there may be no hope for you. Who knows? I mean, it was just, do you understand? I mean, it's pretty simple as a concept. I'm not saying you have to accept it. I'm just saying, do you understand what we're talking about? You don't have to accept observable reality. You could deny it. But you have to at least understand what we're pointing at when we point at the horizon and it's not matching the globe model in distance. It's pretty easy to understand.
I'm not sure if we can understand that. I say it's pretty easy to understand relativity.
Well, that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about, which is the horizon, the claimed geometry of this ball. You see? That's what you're struggling with. You need to prove a ball, not a concept of relativity. A ball, a physical, geometric ball Earth that you think you're spinning around in a vacuum on.
certain extent, we can only so much prove with our own eyes.
No, there's no proof with your own eyes.
The height of where you're standing, the altitude and whatnot, it's changing. Now we can't just say, let's say you're standing at 1 feet, that's consistent the whole around the
No,
earth.
you can keep your altitude. You can keep consistent. You go down to the beach and you pick a elevation height, and you go and observe from there every single day at the same height, and where your horizon should be a geometric curve of a ball Earth at 2.5, 3 miles. It's not. It moves around. You can see it at 10 miles, 15 miles, 20 miles, depending on the conditions. Meaning it's not the curve of a ball with a radius of 3959 miles. Like the calculators claim. Have you been on the calculators yet? You seen those? Maybe that's what you're not figuring out. Right. Go on Google and type in distance to horizon calculator.
She just did that. Just did that a minute ago.
Just did that. Well, sounds like she doesn't know what she's...
1.96 kilometers.
What?
From standing at 1 foot, it was 1.96 kilometers.
All right, so if we then go down and we put a camera at 1 foot, and instead of seeing it at 1.69 kilometers, we see it at like 13, 15 kilometers, what does that mean? Is the horizon wrong, or is the calculator wrong? What do you think?
Are we saying the horizon is at the point of disappearance?
No, it's the point, it's the line that separates the ground from the sky.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, so the calculator says that's going to be at 1.69 kilometers for a 1 foot observer, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but when we go and test that, it's actually like 12 kilometers, 15 kilometers. Okay, so why is that? What does that mean? Thoughts?
I'm thinking. It's 1 a.m. Hold on.
That's all right. You take your time. How's it going, guys? Looks like we're cooking tonight.
This one came pre-cooked.
Pre-cooked. A microwavable.
Yeah, we're just reheating.
Well, sorry if I'm treading old ground. I've not gotten on all day.
No, it's good.
No, it'd be good warm-up for you.
India and I were trying to get her to realize that some things that she's going to appeal to simply require faith. And a moment ago, right, it was almost there, right? Because she said, we can't prove everything with our own eyes, right? And I was waiting for that moment where she said, you've got to take some things on faith. But it didn't happen. But I think that's to the point where she's
science is not faith.
Understand, right?
But well, the globe is not science, so that's fine.
Continue on, please, Cyclone.
Lack of faith. Faith is religion.
Okay.
That's what you have.
Well, that's great. Yeah, because we're talking about not having faith in this globe concept that they've taught us since we were children, because that does require faith, because you have no experience of that. You can only rely and put faith in the governments who give you the cartoons of space. So yeah, that's like a religion.
You have faith in every single piece of medication.
Well, hold on. Before we get onto that, were you going to answer why the horizon's not at 1.69 kilometers and it's actually at 15?
Yes, sure.
Great.
Now, my claim here, I wrote it out in a few bullet points in the chat. I can copy it in.
You're not Chat GPT in it, are you?
Nope. I don't have an account. Not allowed to with my email.
You've been banned from Chat GPT. That's a bad sign.
Sure, man.
So, well, I'm on an audio, we're in an audio chat, and I'm not looking at the chat, so do you want to tell me why the horizon is not where it's supposed to be?
Sure. So, the horizon is not a solid wall or some sort of edge.
So it's not some sort of curvature of a ball Earth?
No, I'm saying it's not a solid wall or an edge. It's the furthest
Is
point
it
you
a
can
curve?
see based on your height and the curve
Right.
of the Earth.
Okay, but that's what we're
It's
saying.
not,
It's not there. That's not. If it was that, it would be at 1.69 kilometers.
it's not a fixed distance.
Well, it would be if the curvature of
It
a
would.
ball of a certain size. What are you talking about?
Right, because it's like a top of a hill, right? The top of a mountain.
It's constantly shifting
If
depending
you're a
on how
certain,
high
if you're
you are.
if you're a certain distance away from a
No,
hill, right,
that's not a ball
and
or
somebody,
curvature then.
if someone's walking over the top of that hill, right, there's going to be a certain distance before which, after which point that person that's walking over the hill is going to become obstructed from view for you. And that's essentially what you're saying the horizon is. It's like the top of the hill, that once something goes over it, it's obstructed from view. That's going to have a specific distance. And we've just gone through this. So why isn't it
Yes,
there?
because it's at that point, it will have a specific distance. Now,
Okay,
around
so
the
why isn't
world,
it
where
there?
there are different
Why isn't it
altitudes,
there?
it's inconsistent.
Dude, what are you talking about?
Have you heard of altitudes?
What are you talking about? Did you hear anything we just said? Are you understanding
I
anything that
just
we're talking
did.
about?
I just
You just
did.
you
And
just
I'm
checked the
No,
saying
she's not.
calculator. It said 1.69
at
kilometers
1
for a
foot.
1
It
foot
said by
observer height.
foot.
Okay, now what does it say for a 6 foot observer?
On what climate?
What do
6
you mean,
foot
what
at
fucking
a 6
climate?
foot a 6 foot tall person in the Netherlands where it has the lowest altitude versus someone standing in Nairobi with a very high altitude will be very
Okay,
different.
okay. What's the horizon distance for a 6 foot observer in Holland? And then what's the horizon distance for a 6 foot observer in Nairobi, since you claim you know a difference?
She
Are you
said
expecting
climate
no
first.
difference?
What's the difference?
Are you expecting no difference? What's your
What is the
hypothesis?
difference? You're claiming it.
I'm asking you what your hypothesis is.
It's not my hypothesis. I don't believe in it. It's not true, but you do. So you tell me.
Okay, horizon distance
Yep.
of a 6 foot person
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Nairobi
Mm-hmm.
and in the Netherlands.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, this is the second person I've heard talking about geographic location when it comes to this. So what's the difference?
So, a 6 foot tall person, around 1.83 meters.
In which one?
In
You've got two choices.
Nairobi.
Oh my God, this is painful.
So that's
It is
Nairobi. Okay.
4.8 kilometers.
Right, so say that again. So which one's Nairobi and which one's Holland?
Hold on, let me put on Holland. Nairobi is 4.8.
4.8 kilometers for a 6 foot observer.
Netherlands 4.8.
Huh. I thought you said they'd be different.
Funny how that worked out.
Okay, so can we just assume they're going to be essentially the same?
You better check Baltimore. Might be different.
Yeah.
Nairobi flat ground 4.8. Netherlands flat ground 4.8. Nairobi Hill 35.7 kilometers.
What? Okay. You're starting to lose it now. But right,
No, it
4.8
says
for Nairobi and Holland.
Nairobi Hill.
Well, that'll be a different
Will
altitude.
be
That'll be a different elevation height.
35.7 kilometers.
Well, that would be
Netherlands.
higher observer height, right?
Yeah, so of course it changes.
Right. Okay. So yeah, if you're the same observer height in Holland, it's going to be the same as Nairobi. Like the 4.8 was for the 6 foot in both places. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So when you're 6 foot and you're in Holland, you go to the beach. It's supposed to be at 4.8, but you see it at say 15. Why?
But if you're in Nairobi Hill,
Nairobi, if you're in Nairobi and you're 6 foot, it's supposed to be 4.8, but you see it 15 kilometers. Why? Where's the curve?
Oh.
So you get it. You get it. The horizon's not where it's supposed to be. There you go. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, you've either got it already or you're not going to get it. So
it takes a while
You're
for
the fourth
type an
person.
explanation in the chat be GPT. You give her a second.
Yeah.
Well, you are the fourth to go through it, Cyclone. I think she's getting it. It was DJ, Indio, yourself, I think Heretic.
Well, I mean, that's
Guys, don't
probably more than enough
me.
then.
I will forever die on my rock that the Earth is round. Let me give
Yeah,
you.
well, this is the problem. This is the problem. See, you're arguing from emotional attachment, and we're just trying to be empirical and logical. So it's not going to go anywhere.
Just bailed.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That was good timing because that was just a dead end. She's bricked. Any other
Damn it!
burritos in?
I just had the burn typed in right. It says here in Nairobi. I was about to say, oh yeah, you're completely right about that. Actually, I looked it up. Right, it says in Nairobi it would be 4.83 kilometers away, but in the Netherlands it would be completely different. It would actually be 4.82 kilometers away.
Shit. Yeah, even when she made that argument and then read out that they were the same, she didn't get it. Well, maybe she did and just pretended not to. I don't know.